6:40. Good morning to you, watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
Shall we take a look at today's papers? Are we going to go through the front pages, shall we? Tell you about the front pages? The Times leads with the misery on the railways, I'm afraid. Every day, they're saying, for a month.
Yes, not really. There's Bellingham on the front, keeping our hopes alive for tonight. The Mail says, don't fall ill, don't rely on trains, don't forget, and forget sending your Christmas cards. Because a week of trials, it says something or other.
Something like that.
It's about strikes.
It's all doom and gloom. The Telegraph reports 15,000 operations will have to be cancelled because of the first national strike by nurses.
The Guardian accuses the Health Secretary of being unwilling to negotiate with the nurses' union.
And the Express continue their royal coverage of Meghan and Harry, saying the whole documentary was patronising for attacking the Queen's work, particularly to do with the Commonwealth.
It's football for the Sun. Let's make French toast, lads, as they put Harry Kane on a slice.
And the Mirror says, yes, we can. Very clever use of French there.
Yes, there you go. Let's go through the papers then with broadcaster Claire Muldoon and political editor of the HuffPost UK, Kevin Schofield. Morning to you both.
Morning.
Let's kick off with the Guardian, should we, Kevin? Looking at, they say Rishi Sunak is weak and living in terror.
Well, yeah. Also, the headline here is slightly more balanced. It says indecisive or pragmatic. So this week he overtook Liz Truss his time in office, so he's no longer the shortest living. He made a joke this week actually that he's not the shortest serving, but he is the shortest Prime Minister because he's a very small man. But they're looking back 6 weeks since he's taken over, and I think it's safe to say that it's been calmer politically. It wouldn't have been difficult after the chaos of the Liz Truss and the end of the Boris Johnson era. But they're looking at whether is that a good thing or not as far as the Tories' election prospects are concerned, because they're still quite far behind. He's quite invisible. He doesn't go out chasing headlines in the way that maybe Boris Johnson, certainly Liz Truss, used to do. He's had a couple of high-profile U-turns, one on house-building targets, dropped them because of a rebellion, and also on onshore wind farms as well. So is he pragmatic? Is he doing the sensible stuff to avoid controversy, or is he just indecisive?
And what does the Guardian conclude?
Well, the Guardian, the Guardian will come down, I guess, more on the indecisive side. But I think Conservative MPs are still giving him the benefit of the doubt. They elected him, basically. He got in thanks to them. But I think they're going to look in the new year for a bit more getting on the front foot, a bit more pizzazz to try and turn around the polls, because it's not long to the next election, really.
No, but we needed a period of just calm and quiet, didn't we?
Well, yeah, it's quite ironic, though, because the criticism of Keir Starmer was always, he's so boring. I wouldn't want to have a pint with Keir Starmer when Boris Johnson was Prime Minister. Whereas now, I think you're right, people want a bit of boring, actually. It's been so tumultuous that
but
people are just ready for...
He also had the U-turn over COP27 as well. He said he wasn't going to go.
That's right, and then he did.
And then he actually went.
I forgot about that one, yeah.
So there is a drive. There must be a steely determination there from Sunak and the Sunak camp in some way. One, in order for him to get elected, but two, where is he? Because he's not standing up to the unions.
Well, people don't know what he stands for as well.
He's weakening his government. He's weakening the country. He's not coming out and standing up to the likes of Mick Lynch, Pat Cullen, who we discussed earlier, the nurses' union.
But he needs to stay in the background for that, doesn't he? Otherwise, things like the demands for talks with him he'd be the person that you would have to see.
Well,
you wouldn't want that.
But he has to still lead, I believe, and I don't think there's a strength of leadership there that clearly he has in the inside to get where he is. But unfortunately, I don't think he's leading the country to where we need to be taken.
He made a lot of promises in the summer in the leadership election that he ended up losing to Liz Truss, but all of them have been ditched. So those were the things that he supposedly believed in, and that he would run the country based on.
Is that he lives in constant terror of his own backbenchers.
And
isn't that the problem at the moment?
So pernicious.
Well, that's it. Even though they've got a healthy majority still, around about 70, they've lost a few seats because of by-elections. They're still a very divided party,
but we're a very divided country.
We are a very divided country, but it doesn't take a lot of them to force him into U-turns, and it doesn't scream strong leadership.
He's not even stood up to Nicola Sturgeon either, who wants, even after the Supreme Court ruling, she still wants a referendum, a de facto referendum on the next general election.
Yeah, but what would you want him to do? I mean, it's almost a bit like the royal family, isn't it? The sort of just not commenting at the moment? I mean, does he need to be seen on every TV screen every day saying
he doesn't need to be seen.
we are doing X, Y, and Z? He's clearly leading in the cabinet.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I can't see any evidence of that. And it's not actually having to see it.
But what evidence do you have that he's not leading?
Because he's allowing the strikes he's allowing the government to be held to ransom.
Well, the fact that he's flip-flopping on stuff.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
and the amount of U-turns he's done.
Yeah.
That would indicate to me it's not a man of integrity nor strength.
The onshore wind is a classic example. In the leadership election, he said he would not allow any weakening of the ban on onshore wind farms. And this week he did. He said, yeah, okay, because there was a big rebellion brewing on his backbenches. So that, his critics say is evidence the fact that he's blown by events rather than leading events, you know.
Yeah, I think you'd be off being a bit critical, overly critical, to be fair.
I don't know. You see, we've had charismatic in Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
We had, how would you describe Liz Truss? Chaotic, but terribly firm. I mean, she was doing a Margaret Thatcher.
Ideological.
And that terrified everybody. Now we've got boring and apparently indecisive or weak or flip-flopping or whatever. What is there left? You wonder...
Well, there should be. I think there should be a Prime Minister who, you know, enlights his party, enlights his government, enlights his cabinet. One leader, one man does not, or one woman does not a country make. You know, it could be the whole cabinet, and it just feels to me that the whole cabinet is pretty disparate, is pretty broken, is pretty in need of help, really, and unification. But it's not there, and I don't believe a Prime Minister of this country should be accountable for their backbenchers. They should be accountable to us, the electorate, and those that voted for the Conservative Party.
Well, they're going to be when it comes to the next general election.
But why should we have to wait that long? They should be living day in, day out, serving the country.
I don't know. See, I have to say, I don't know what you want. Listening to that, I don't know what you want. I hear a lot of sort of debate, but I can't see.
I'm politically homeless. I'm neither Conservative nor Labour. But what I do want is leadership. What I do want is strength. What I do want is a way
out. But what does that mean?
It means messages. It's messages. It's more than sound bites. It's policy. It's instruction. It's let's do this. We're all in this together.
But what they're doing at the moment is, and there have been quite a few changes. I mean, financial changes. But what he is doing, and it's not that I particularly support what he's doing. I should make that clear. But what he is doing is trying to work out. He can't come up with any strong political messages at the moment because they don't know what land they've got. They don't know how the land lies at the minute. They're trying
Why do they not know?
Because there's been so much turmoil. They're trying to flatten it out.
And they've been in charge of that turmoil for goodness knows how many years.
But a lot of this is international pressure, isn't it? This is happening. This isn't happening in the UK.
What are you talking about? The energy crisis?
The whole energy crisis and cost of living crisis is global, and so we need to work out where all that lies, and then come the spring statement. Perhaps then it'll be able to actually give us a path, a direction out. And I just think, and so this isn't me supporting Rishi Sunak, but you just think for anyone in that position, you'd have to say, right, instead of coming out with some great bold statements, let's see where the hell we are actually.
Why not even just send that message out? Because at the moment, there's nothing.
I agree with that. Yeah. I think if only somebody like him would stand up and say, this is the problem we've got, we're sorting this, and we're trying to take an overview, and we will come back with something that will make a difference.
Yes.
Give us some sort of reason to believe.
If he judged as being weak by the Labour Party.
But it's not there to be judged. He's there to do a job.
I'm just fed up with them telling us that everything's terrible.
Twitter will judge us for our views here this morning.
Well,
we're always being judged.
Yeah, and we'll look at a lot of them and say if they're critical, we'll say
I tell you what, let's turn to AI in that case. Maybe better than a Prime Minister, we'll have a chatbot. Tell us about the chatbot. Claire, it's yours, isn't it?
Yeah. So chatbot to rewrite how we do everything. This is quite disturbing, actually, I think. I did a dissertation on AI, on the robotic reporter, and it was to do with how do newsrooms and press associations move forward in terms of journalism. The reality is there's a horizon planning in place. Everything in the whole world has actually happened. We've had wars, we've had droughts, we've had famines, we've had everything you could possibly think of. And that's all been compressed, and that's into horizon planning. And going forward, there might not be the need for international reporters or embedded reporters trying to embed and tell us the truth that's what's happening. Take a step forward again. And we've now got, Elon Musk set this firm up in 2018, or he resigned from 2018, and it was a chatbot. So what you can do is you can plug in to this thing called ChatGPT, and it can write scientific essays, it can write editorials on page 35 for the London Times, and it's actually done it very, very well. And there's critics and there's people for it. They're advocating it clearly. And what would be a good reason for it when it's actually devaluing education, I would say, because you don't need to read a book.
But it's not original thought, is it?
Fine.
It's absolutely terrifying. Absolutely,
like
Kevin. I completely agree.
You need journalists. You absolutely need journalists to write.
You need
I
original
would
thought.
Of course you
be
do,
saying
but
that,
there is
but-
nothing original. What is original left now? Because everything's happened. That
But
is the-
original, everything, it's just what you were saying about having international reporters and everything. Original is what's happening now that is new and that is different, and you get a reporter's perspective on
I
it.
would say it is not different because it has already happened. And stereotypes.
don't get that.
Every natural disaster is different. Even no two droughts are the same. No
No.
two wars are the same. Certainly.
I'm an advocate. I'm not an advocate for it. Okay, there's a huge barrage against this kind of thing happening, and I think it would devalue education, as I've said, and it will also devalue original thought because there isn't anything available to do it. And we think, the biggest selling records of all time are the Beatles. They wrote, everything that's,
Huge back catalogue, as
How
they
many
say.
chords are there in music? What, 5, 4, whatever? I don't know.
That's what they always say, that there's no such
Eventually
thing
that you'll run
as
out of
music.
tunes.
But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
true.
And the recording of music now is about sounds. It's about doors closing. It's about people shouting in the street. It's about different variations of noise. That is then transferred into new music. That's the way
Yeah,
the
but
music
that never
is going.
caught. I mean, that sort of music never caught on as anything but a gimmick.
Well, intellectual property and intellectual rights is huge in the legal profession now. Huge. Because there are only a finite number
don't you
of...
think you're getting worked up about just another AI
No,
tool?
I'm not at all. I think this is going to be very,
It just
very
sounds
big,
to me like
and it's
one of
going
those
to cause a lot of
Precying things. Yes, you feed all the information in, but in the end, the only thing that comes out is something that's already
So
been...
be programmed. Who's doing the
You
programming
say
as well?
prescient, I would say sentient because it's getting
No,
more
I
like
don't-
that.
Not
And
sentient, yeah.
No. It might be like it might feel
Oh.
like it, but it isn't the same. You bring Paul McCartney in right now, and I bet you he could write her an original song that's nothing to do with anything on that AA. I hope so. I hope so.
I hope so.
Put it through the Turing test, see if it's sentient or not. Nothing's passed that yet.
That's right, no. Absolutely.
Let's have a very quick look at the Times, Kevin. It's all about ditching the Christmas turkey.
Yeah, so conservation groups are saying because of the shortage of turkeys, because of avian flu, it's wiped out half of Britain's 1.2 million free-range turkeys, so clearly there's a shortage right before Christmas, which isn't ideal. They're saying, forget turkey, there isn't enough going around. Instead, for Christmas, have beef or venison.
Venison's expensive, isn't it?
Well, it's expensive, yeah, but it's plentiful, unlike turkey. So,
Beef for Christmas?
yeah, beef for it just doesn't. I mean, that's just like a normal Sunday. I mean, you guys are vegetarians, aren't you?
yeah.
So, but I mean, beef is just like a normal Sunday roast, whereas Christmas is meant to be.
Not if it's all
special.
dolled up with all the Christmas trimmings.
Yeah, I don't know. Would you have that way?
Well, let us know
Eggs and
what you
blankets with
think.
beef.
GBViews at gbnews.uk. Would you have beef or venison?
As long as there's not a Brussels sprout. I think there was
Oh, I love
last year.
Brussels
No, that's you need your sprouts.
Love
Kevin,
Brussels sprouts.
Claire, we are out of time. Good to see you both this
Thank you
morning.
very much.
Thank you. We've got your top stories coming up after the weather.